Hi, welcome back to Paul's Stuff. It's my space on YouTube where I get to talk about all the things I love. Usually lots of Star Wars, lots of lightsabers, but today we're going to continue looking at some of the vintage toys that I collect. And in particular today, we're going to be looking at this range of toys, which are the Fighting Furies from Matchbox. The Matchbox, I'm not sure if it even exists anymore, but back in the day, certainly in the mid-70s when these came out, was best known for its die-cast miniature cars and plastic model kits. And mid-70s, they tried to diversify and came out with this range of action figures called the Fighting Furies. So when these initially released, there were two figures, Captain Hook and Captain Pegleg, and 6 adventure sets, which were basically clothing and accessory sets. The figures came in these lovely packaging, in these boxes. Fantastic looking boxes. The only figure that didn't come in a box like that was Ghost of Captain Kidd, this centre figure. We'll talk about him separately in a moment. The adventure sets came in boxes. They had the accessories and clothes stitched to a card inside the box. Very similar to these, with a clear panel on the front so you could see the accessories through the box. And then each of the figures and accessory sets came with a story booklet. So this is the one for Captain Pegleg. So there are two versions of these. There's this version, which is the EU version or the UK version. So as you can see, it's bright orange colour, wonderful artwork on it, gives you instructions about the figure, and then on the other side is the story for that figure or adventure set. So there are 6 different stories with the adventure sets, one for each of them, and the same story for the 2 figures. Lovely artwork on these. I love these things. I collect these as well. There are 2 different versions of those. So there are US versions as well. So this is the US version for the Captain Blood adventure, which is this one here. As you can see, these are smaller. They're not as long, and when you get to the story, the writing is all underneath the figures rather than a separate panel down the side. So these are the American versions of these. They didn't feel that they needed additional languages on those. The adventure sets are, all of this stuff is fairly easy to come by. The one figure that isn't so easy is the Ghost of Captain Kidd. He's a rarer figure anyway. I believe here in the UK he was only available through the Woolworths store. I remember seeing all the other figures in our local toy store, Gamley's, but I never saw him in the toy store. I believe he was exclusive to Woolworths in this country, and I'm not sure if he was exclusive in the States, but I know you could get him in as a mail away in the States from Sears, I believe. The difference if you got him from Sears was you didn't get this wonderful box that he came in. You just got a plain white box with him in. But here and at retail in the States, he came in this lovely, lovely packaging. So this again, this is a reproduction box from 21st Century Box here in the UK. Great company. I'll leave a link in the description. So this box opens up. There are two little tabs on the side, and when you open it, the inside is done out like the inside of a coffin. And he has a little message down the side. He says, "Let my bones lie in the light so my ghostly skeleton absorbs its power. Be warned, for I swear to inflict my vengeance upon those who damned me." So this figure glows in the dark. It's the ghost of Captain Kidd. And he glows in the dark, and when he's glowing in the dark, you can see skeleton on him. Really cool. He says, I'll be after those who damned me. His crew mutinied on him in the storybook that comes with him. So his little leaflet is like a yellowy green and black rather than the orange and black. It's quite distinctive. So he's a little bit different from the other figures. He was a rarer figure at the time, and I think because of the glow-in-the-dark plastic that he's made from, these figures have not lasted very well at all. You usually find them damaged. This one was missing his cutlass, which I've replaced, and he was missing his left foot, which I've replaced. He's got damage on the hinge to his right foot. His right hand has got a crack in it. So over time, I think because of the plastic these are made of to make them glow in the dark, they've become quite brittle and delicate. And because of that, it's difficult to find one even as intact as this. So he is quite a pricey figure on today's market. The rest of them, you can find them in well played with condition for very reasonable prices. If you want one that's a little bit more if you want one that's a little bit more pristine, then you're going to pay a little bit more. But they are out there, and they're not hugely rare. You can lay your hands on them fairly easily. So in the range we have the Ghost of Captain Kidd, who glows in the dark. We have Captain Hook, who has a hook, and Captain Pegleg, who has a peg leg. Now, both of these Captain figures, Hook and Pegleg, both come with a little dagger and a sword. And one of the main selling points of these figures at the time was that they have a sword fighting action. So there's a button on the left hand side, and when you press the button, it moves the sword arm. There's also, you can put the dagger in the hand and pull the arm back, and it will flick the dagger out as if it's throwing it. So that was their kind of play feature, if you like. Captain Pegleg additionally has a hidden treasure map in his peg leg. The end of his peg leg comes off. That's very often missing, that little plug. And contained in the leg is a treasure map. So that's the two basic figures. And you then bought the accessory sets to put on those two figures. So I'll try and go through these one at a time for you. This is the Hooded Falcon set, Hooded Falcon Adventure set. So this is like a Middle Eastern Arab type set. And I think the backstory here was that either Hook or Pegleg were working as a spy and sending messages back with the Falcon. It's a lovely set. Has some unique pieces in it. The sword is different to any others. Has a lovely looking little Arab style dagger. Has a different rifle to any of the other sets. Comes with a mug, a tankard, and a book that you can hide things in. It's not really a book, it's a secret, has a secret compartment in it, and a writing quill and some paper to write his messages down with, his secret messages to send off with the Falcon. Then next we have the Kung Fu Warrior. Now this is a set I really remember from childhood. I think that orange top stood out for me as I was playing with these. I remember having this as a kid. So the backstory is, I think Hook gets challenged by a Kung Fu warrior and ends up fighting him. As you can see, lovely detailed Japanese style armour, samurai sword, bow and arrow. Just a lovely, lovely set. He's got his samurai flag there as well. Now, this set is called the One-Eyed Sailor. Now, I don't remember having this set, but I do remember the cannon. So I think I must have had it as a kid. I think the backstory is that they're hiding in the crew and in another pirate crew and disguise themselves. So he comes with his cloth headdress, his eye patch, his lovely stripy sailor's top, set of boots. He came with this belt with a pouch on it, pistol, musket, he has a couple of billy clubs. He doesn't have a sword, so he can't do the sword fighting thing, but he can club you with the billy clubs or throw the billy clubs. And he does have the cannon, which will actually fire out these rather odd looking stick grenade type projectiles. So that's the One-Eyed Sailor. Then we have the Spanish Main Adventure. So the backstory on this is that Hook and Pegleg ambush a Spanish galleon crew. And this comes with everything that you see here, except I think the trousers are from a slightly later carded Spanish officer set. But you get everything else, so the armour, the helmet, the neck ruff, the belt with the dagger and the sword, the flag, the spade, the musket, and the treasure chest with treasure in it. So again, another nice set, and so many accessories in these sets. Really nicely done. Oh, there's the cape on this as well, I forgot to mention. And this set, peculiar to the other sets, has brown boots for some reason. It's the only set I'm aware of that has the brown boots as part of the set. So that's the Spanish Main Adventure. This next one is the Captain Blood Adventure, and this is probably the adventure set I remember most from my childhood. I think that sort of purple coat stuck in my mind for some reason. So I think the backstory on this is that Hook and Pegleg are infiltrating Captain Blood's lair, and at least one of them is trying to pass himself off as Captain Blood in order to get his treasure maps. So again, lots of accessories, the treasure map, the little secret compartment book that is in the Hooded Falcon as well. There's a working compass. There's the tankard again. The smaller sword blade, the pistol, the keys. So many accessories in these. The lovely tricorn hat comes with this as well. And then lastly, but by no means least, we have the Redcoat adventure. Now this is probably the one that I remember least from my childhood. I don't remember having this. You've just seen there one of the problems with these figures. When they were new, the joints were never that great. I remember as a child never bothering to try and stand them up because they just wouldn't stand up. The joints weren't strong enough to do that. Hence why I have all of these on stands. Because now with almost 50 years of age on them, these are even more floppy, shall we say, than they were when they were new. And getting them to stand up is quite a task. So again, we can see lots of accessories, that lovely red coat. There's an undershirt as well with this one. The axe, the sword, the powder horn, the pouch on the white belt, the grappling hook, the musket, and another one of those lovely tricorn hats on this set. Oh, there's a dagger as well, isn't there, on the back? Yeah. So another lovely set to dress these figures in. They really are now really quite floppy, most of these figures, and so yeah, you need to find some sort of stand that is going to help them to stay upright. So that's my collection of Fighting Furies. So these were released by Matchbox. I think they were sort of moderately successful, but not greatly so. And towards the end of their life, they were sold off really cheap to get rid of the stock that Matchbox had made. In the States, some of the sets, the costume sets, were sold with a copy of Amigo figure. Amigo is another company that was making figures in this sort of size in the 60s and 70s, and they did a pirate range, and I think there was a cheap copy of those put in the boxes to try and sell them. They also embarked on a cowboy range. I think there were 3 figures. They adapted these figures to be cowboys and Indians, and they had instead of a sword fighting, they were quick draw. So they would quick draw when you press the button. They're rarer than these. I think they may have only been released in the UK, but yeah, my memory of these as a kid is what you see here. I don't particularly remember Captain Kidd. I certainly never had a Captain Kidd, but the others, yeah, I definitely remember them. They were favourite toys of mine growing up. I remember playing with them regularly. And once I found that I could get them again, I did that. They're lovely, lovely figures to collect. I love them. My vintage stuff is never going to go anywhere. I've bought them because I love to own them. And like my other collecting, I don't like to collect things that are in box. I like to have things out of the box. I like them to be in reasonable condition. They don't have to be perfect. But I like them to be in a reasonable condition. I do have some original boxes for the sets and things, but I'm not concerned about collecting them in the box. I want them out so that I can see them like I used to play with them. So that's my collection of Matchbox Fighting Furies from the 1970s. Lovely, lovely toys. They are available, you know. I don't think they're hugely collected. They don't command massive prices generally. The Ghost of Captain Kidd being the exception, he's generally quite pricey, and certainly to get one in good condition is expensive. But on the whole, they're very reasonably priced and collectible. And because of the volume of the sets that were made, you can still regularly find box sets, in pretty much as new condition. So yeah, they're a wonderful toy to collect. So that's it from me and my Fighting Furies. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, please consider giving it a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, then please consider subscribing to the channel. So lots of different content, lots of Star Wars content. If you like that sort of thing, then please give it a look. Look up some of the other videos, and if you like what you see, then please consider subscribing. And if you click the notification bell, then hopefully YouTube will tell you when I've posted new videos as well. But for now, from me and the Fighting Furies, that's a cheerio, and we hope to see you all again soon. Bye bye.